It should be number. So take 50 times 0.1. Really should be 16%. Right. 8 people. Okay, so if you have 50 people, you don't need all 50 people to buy into your culture. You need to start with about your goal should be I need to get 8 to 10 people that are bought in.
Okay.
And you should focus all your energy in 8 to 10 people. You're not going to win over the majority in the beginning. You need to focus on the innovators and the early adopters, which is about 16 to 18% of your business. Okay. And that's when we talk about application, like how do I get buy-in? How do I get my movers and drivers to buy into like the new bonus program you're doing? Or how do I get them to buy into like we're starting to do some community service stuff, and how do I get my guys to like want to get involved with that? So that way we have good PR. The way you get on these ideas is you get 16 to 18% of your business to buy in, and then you continue to make that effort, and more people will follow, because most people are followers, not leaders. So you should be investing a lot of time into about 15 to 18% of the people in your business. It doesn't mean you don't care about the other people, but like the guy that, let's say he's a helper, but like he doesn't really care about the vision and the culture of the business. Like I'm going to treat him just as well, but I'm just not going to invest all my time and energy on him. I'm going to spend more one-on-one time with the guy that like wants to be there. He's hungry to like grow the company with us. Okay. That's what I'm going to invest time in.
All right. So being that we're running a little short on time, just a little highlights for today, it's basically with company culture. We definitely want to, as Winston said, create a buy-in culture. You may not need everyone to buy into it, but, as he again mentioning what he said, about 8 to 10 people of your organization or 30% of your organization getting that little buy-in is going to be where it starts. For 16 to 18%. All right. So
it's not 30%. You need 16 to 18%.
16 to 18%. Okay.
Here is where this is why most companies get it wrong, because they don't understand the law. Right? It's social law of adopting an idea. So where most companies are is they've got about 10% of their employees buying in. That is like an average. But what will happen is you'll kind of always be in the same place. You won't have massive growth when you only have 10%. But what's crazy is if you can just get like a couple more people to buy into the culture, it seems like it's like wildfire now. Like people it's like the trendy thing is to now be a part of the culture. You know what I mean? And people are following suit, and they're now engaging into the ideas. So I didn't want people. You said 30%. I just want to make sure people know you don't need a third of your business to buy in. You need 16 to 18%, which if you have a group, let's say you have a business of 20 people, what is that? 2 or 3
that's
people?
Definitely about 2 to 3.
You as an owner need to invest a lot of time in 2, 3, maybe 4 people.
Okay. So I know this topic can go on forever, picturing what a company culture can look like, on paper, since it's so intangible. But I know that we're running short on time. So when can
my appointment moved to 12, so I do have a couple more minutes if you want. Have any more questions?
Okay, if that's the case, we'll definitely entertain our audience. So I guess, how is this used to recruit the right people in an organization?
Yeah. Okay, so from a recruiting standpoint, one of the top 3 reasons why people leave jobs is they feel like they're capped on opportunity. They feel like that there's no more growth. So culture is generally going to be the number one driver for growth in a business. Right? Once you get out of the little business stuff, like, when you're a moving company, you got like 5 or 10 guys, like, your world revolves around pretty much you because you're the one operating everything. But when you get a business that has more people in it, like, you're not so much of an operator, you're more of like, you're more of a visionary. Like, you have a vision and then you put people in motion. So you're almost like a delegator, you're a visionary, you're that CEO hat role, like that's what you're doing. And so culture is the number one indicator on growth. And so if you want to recruit more people, I mean, honestly, people want to be somewhere where something like there's a movement. So your goal should be to get really good at explaining and describing the movement that is happening at your company. And if you can do that well as a communicator, you will recruit a higher quality person and you'll recruit more people. So you have to get words and explaining that.
And then, let's see. Okay, so for an organization that's pretty big, that has maybe multiple locations or so like that, how can the owner keep that culture alive for a location that he's not, like kind of like trickle it down into his management and make sure it stays active?
Yeah. So there's a couple ideas here. So one is leverage technology. So like everybody has like $1 million device in their hand. You have a freaking use it. Like you should be communicating with either video or audio message, or those are the two most powerful. But even a text message, like you probably have some group communication that you have for your business that goes to all employees, whether you have one office or 5 offices. You need to have a way that you can channel and communicate a message to all the people in your business. So like you could do, here's one idea. You could have like a morning motivation message. And it sounds cheesy, but if you do it every single day and you do it long enough, people will appreciate it and they'll recognize it. Because if you can show consistency and prove that to your team, now to follow. Why most moving companies struggle is their ownership and management don't show consistency. So then their movers don't show consistency. They don't show up on time every day. They're not in uniform every day. They don't do their moving process the same way. They don't pad route the same way every day. Like it starts at the top, and then it gets, saturated down in the organization. The second part, I'll say this, is you need to do a top and bottom approach. So what that means is there's the leadership and management of a company that maybe is setting like that's where a lot of the ideas come from for most companies, and that's where a lot of the policies are made. All the processes come from there. But a top and bottom approach is the management goes to the frontline employees, and it's simple as this: ask them what they think. Ask your helpers and your drivers and your packers and every person in the organization, what do you want? What do you think we should do? And what happens is when it's their idea, they're more likely to buy into it because they feel included. They feel like they've been heard. People want to have a voice. So if you're trying to get, like if you've got 2 or 3 or 4 different locations and you're struggling to kind of get some uniformity across all of them with the culture, go to the frontline people at each location, whether it's you're doing it through a phone call or through a FaceTime or you're actually there in person. Just ask them like, hey, Josh, like, what would you like to see change around here? Like for a positive, what do you want? What would make your day-to-day job better? And then if you do that enough, you're going to learn a bunch of stuff, and then you implement those things. So it's a top and bottom approach to make the culture better.
Now, is it ever to a point where a person may get too big to be going to the front lines, more or less?
Never. That's where that's a big place where people fail. If I'm trying to think of who's a really big name person. What's Branson? Richard Branson.
Sounds familiar, but you can go ahead.
What is it? Virgin? Virgin Mobile or something like that is the company CEO or founder of. He's like one of the wealthiest dudes in the whole world. All he does is he uses the product and gives feedback from the frontline people in his company. So like the only thing he ever does now is he uses the product, so he knows what the experience is like, and then he talks with the frontline people that work inside of his company, and then he takes that information and then he gets it to the upper management and leadership of the organization. Actually, the other way around. The bigger of a company you become, the more that you should be talking to frontline people.
Gotcha. Okay. No, it definitely sounds interesting. I've always thought of the telephone game where you're kind of like, delivering the message to your managers. You're talking from top down in your organization, because maybe you can't be there to be on the front lines to talk to the frontline people, but then you realize that you start to lose some aspects of your culture because of that telephone game.
Yeah, and I think that's the struggle. I mean, there's no black and white answer. Like, if there was, like, everybody would have a really successful business, right? Like, this is what makes business hard. 98% of all your problems are generally communication problems. So that's where the crimp in the hourglass is. And so there's this balance of delegation, right? I'm going to take my thoughts and ideas and vision and explain it to my management, so my management can then implement it with my frontline people. But then you can't just never talk to your frontline people as an owner. You've got to drop down there at times and have those conversations and see what's really happening. Because the telephone game can hurt you. Because what happens is you have that original message, and then it goes here, and then it goes here, and then it goes here, and then it goes there. And after it's going to went through all those people, it's a different message.
Okay, definitely, and that's definitely the issue with it. All right. Let's see. All right, so we'll end off there. But is there anything that you want to say about your company? Let people know.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we like I said before at the beginning, we're specialists in hiring, recruiting, and retention for moving and storage companies. So we have a really unique service that's specifically for recruiting movers and drivers and hourly employees, as well as we do traditional recruiting for like upper positions. So like sales reps, ops managers, GMs, pretty much anything that would be office related and managerial related. So, yeah, we're just all about helping you find the right people and having those people stay at your company for a long time. It costs a lot of money to replace people, so you don't want to do that too much.
All right, awesome. So thank you for joining me today, Winston. I'll have your ID information so people can reach out to you in the group. Any other things